Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Boom Rookies with Grub, coming at you live from the Grub Hub. My name is Matt Bungard, and with me today, Josh Reynolds. Hello.
Hello, matey. How are you? You can. I don't think we can really call me Josh Reynolds. Let's go with Grub
Okay.
because it is with Grub. So
Yep, of course.
my mum's super proud of that name too. So good way to start the potty.
Yeah, you're one of the very few players that when you go on their rugby league project page, it actually has your nickname in your name on it. It says
Really?
Josh Grub Reynolds.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so
Yeah, very proud of it. Something that a lot of people like to shake, but I'm okay with it.
you wear it well.
It got me through my career. I'd say it got me hated, and at some stages got me loved from some of the Bulldogs faithful.
Also, I felt like when you call Grub, it allows you to push the envelope a little bit more. We go, well, his name's Grub. What do you expect?
Yeah, for sure. I reckon, but I think you also get a little bit more looked at.
That's true.
True. Oh, well, when you go on I suppose the suspension tightrope, is that what you would call it?
Yeah,
I
sure.
think you probably get looked at a little bit more, but hey, it is what it is.
It's all right. You came through the other side just fine.
Just.
And now we're here. So we'll be doing this show every Tuesday up until grand final week. Great to have Grub joining us in what was formerly known as the Temple of Boom when Campo was here. And don't worry, the listeners of our regular show, we'll still be doing that every Monday and every Friday. Nothing will change. Same podcast feed for everything. Just really excited to be doing this with obviously, one of New South Wales Origin's biggest heroes and a Bulldogs legend as well. So yeah, let's get into it. Josh, the 2025 competition. Now, you could ask 10 people on the street who they think is going to win it this year, and you'd probably get 6 or 7 different answers. Do you think this is the most wide open competition we've had in a fair while?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think this weekend's footy threw a massive spanner in the works with Jerome Hughes. I think everyone, and even myself, had the Melbourne Storm just ahead of everyone. Like you've got the Dogs who are absolutely on fire, and I really think they can go all the way. But I will say that the Melbourne Storm, a lot of those guys been there and done it before in massive games, and it doesn't seem to phase them. But Jerome Hughes dislocating his shoulder, it does two things. If we seen it on the weekend, Olakau'atu come back for Manly.
Yeah, and that didn't go great.
Redislocated his shoulder. He had the 6 weeks off, done the rehab, and this is the thing. I've actually done it. You can feel great. You're like, oh yeah, I'm back. But then it's just that one motion or that one like tackle you go too wide, and it's gone again. And this is where I feel probably the punters and the people putting that they're like, I just can't trust Melbourne as much anymore. But then we're going to see Melbourne this week. The teams will come out actually very soon to see who they put there. Are they going to put Peasant? Are they going to put Wishart? I'm just not too sure, but it's definitely. I think it's brung it back to the pack a little bit. What do you reckon?
Sure. Yeah, mate. I completely agree. I think that you can't rule out their experience. I think that with Canterbury and Canberra especially, like both of them are having fantastic seasons, but I still want to see them like in September against teams like Penrith and Melbourne. Like the Dogs, for example, are having a fantastic season. They are. They I think they just coming off their best 80-minute performance of the year against Manly. They were tremendous on Sunday afternoon. But in the next couple of weeks, they've got 3 massive tests. They play the Warriors, the Storm, and the Panthers in the space of, I think, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep.
And Canberra as well. Canberra have come through that gauntlet that they had at the start here. Canberra played people forget how top-heavy their draw was to start the season. They played a lot of good teams in the first half of the season and kind of are just sort of going through the motions these last few weeks. But when it gets to September, I think that there's, because of the quality of the teams that are outside the top 4 right now, I think is the biggest difference. Like usually the power dynamic would be reversed, and it would be the teams like the Raiders or the Bulldogs, and I mean that with the greatest respect, would be the sort of the 5 through 8 teams that people go, I'd love to see them go on a run. But this year, if you look at the ladder right now, and there's every chance that one of Penrith or Brisbane or Cronulla could shoot into the top 4, but if they don't, that's 3 teams that have been pretty established at the top table in the last couple of seasons. Teams loaded with guys that have got big experience in big games. Penrith, we don't need to say anything. Brisbane have played in grand final. Cronulla have been in plenty of big games and been right at the top of the table in the last few years. So, and then you scroll past them, and 8th spot's probably going to be what? The Dolphins, the Seagulls, or the Roosters, you would think. And then in the case of the Seagulls and the Roosters, plenty of big game experience there. And the Dolphins, I think, when they're on form, can put up points with anyone. So, I wouldn't be ruling out anyone as low down as the Roosters right now, who currently are 10th place on the ladder. And I think you have to go back a fair while. I think back to that, I think it was the season where there was like 2 points between 1st and 8th. Like, I can't remember if it was 2018 or 19, but there was one season like that where it was like, everything's on the table here. Who knows what's going to happen? And I would And it's quite telling when I talk to a lot of Bulldogs fans and a lot of Canberra fans that they're most worried about Penrith.
Yeah.
And I think that there's every reason to be worried about Penrith because I think it's fair to say, have started looking like old Penrith again in the last couple of weeks.
Well, if there's anyone from outside the four at the moment that can do it, I think it's Penrith. The Broncos on the weekend just showed me they just have too many defensive lapses in them at times. And if Reece Walsh is that, I suppose that little bit, he was a bit erratic on the weekend. The Broncos just seem to slowly implode. But if he's thinking that, that run first mentality and the plays come, he doesn't go chasing the plays. I think they're at their best. But I don't like using the word, but for me, the Broncos are at the moment, they're just the pretenders. I feel we look at their roster and we look at who they got and we're like, this is the week.
When they're at their best, I think back to that game they had against the Roosters in the first couple of weeks of the season where they looked unstoppable.
Or the Dogs, Thursday night.
Really good point, that game as well. And it's just, I feel like the best version of Brisbane might be better than anyone else's best. It's just getting to that level week in, week out, which seems to be the trouble for them.
The scary one for people at the moment, I feel, definitely the Panthers, because they're slowly building. We just know the big occasion's not going to get to them towards the end. The only thing that I'm worried about for Penrith at the moment is because of where they've come from, literally last, is every week a big hurdle, another big hurdle. They're going for 7 or so straight. Is it going to get to a point where, even though they have, the dynasty's used a lot, but it is, let's face it, they're unbelievable. But is it just going to be a bit too much for them building into it?
If it was any footy club at Penrith, I'd agree with you. But it's just I gave up betting against Penrith after they won the third comp, and I was like, these guys can do anything. And until someone stops them, I'm not betting against them. And I still think that there's a gigantic chance that, and it was, there's only been 2 teams to come from outside the top 4 and win the premiership. That was Brisbane in '93 and the Bulldogs in '95. And so it's been a long time since that's happened. But I feel like if any team could do it, it's the Panthers getting all their players back at the pointy end of the season. But there's also a chance they finish 4th because they've got that draw, which is worth an extra half win. So really, they're only a half a game behind the Sharks and a game and a half behind the Warriors. So there's still plenty of time for them to try and find their way back into that top 4 as well.
I reckon the Warriors, a little bit on the slide.
The Metcalf injury and the Barnett injury.
There's 2 huge leaders. 2 huge leaders in big games when. Even a game like on the weekend when they lost to the Titans, when you get behind the try line and you're not too sure why this is happening, the leaders are the one that speak up. Metcalf will say something, Barnett will say something, and they go again. Yes, they've got Fisher Harris, but sometimes you need more than one guy. You need multiple guys saying, the same messaging. So I've got the Warriors taking a bit of a slide, but the Sharkies for me at the moment, because of one guy, Blake Brayley, he is on fire at the moment. No wonder. People are tossing him up as a possible $1 million hooker, which is a big call. He's going great, but I just don't know if he's going that good. But what he's done is he's opened up the Sharkies. So the focal point for the Sharkies was Hines and Trindle, but they couldn't work out who's 7 and 6.
Yep.
That's what I feel. But now it's like, don't worry about that. He's our focal point, punching through the middle, and Nico's running game's coming back into play, and Trindle's controlling the kicking. So, mate, to go back to your opening point, it is open. Yeah. It is huge. It is very, very open, and there's a few teams that can win.
And the other thing is that in the Sharks' favour is I think that of all the teams, they've got a very good run in. I don't think they leave Sydney from memory. I think they've got 5 games left, and 3 of them at Shark Park. They play the Dragons at Cochrane, and they play the Doggies in the last week of the season at Homebush. And the Doggies could have top 2 locked up by that point and might be resting some players as well. So who knows? I think but I don't think at this point you can put a line through anyone down to like the Roosters, which is crazy to say. It's rare that you get to awesome. What are we, round 22, and we're talking about 9, maybe 10 teams still being able to win a comp.
But, which is very rare. And mate, you even look at the likes of Canberra who are flying, but they've gone 16-all at halftime, 16-all at halftime last week, 18-all at halftime, just blown teams off the park in that second half. Can you do that in the semifinals, or is a team going to come and bite you? Are they going to come and bite you?
That's why if I was a Raiders fan, I'd be specifically worried about Penrith, because Penrith are the team that you can't. The way the Raiders have been winning these games is because they're just fitter and hungrier than these other teams, and they're just overwhelming them in second halves of games. And I find that would be probably a lot harder to do to Canterbury or Penrith than to any other team. So it'd be really interesting to see when either of those two teams play Canberra again, when that happens. So.
And as well, just like, you got to look at the Dogs' performance over the weekend. Probably struggling for the most of the season with their attack.
Yeah.
But the biggest probably talking point of the last month or couple of months, Lockie Galvin, he has his best game.
He was great.
He
Burton,
touched the ball a lot.
Probably Burton's best game as well.
Burton was unbelievable. He's ran for close to 200, and their defense is always going to be sound. You know, we know that week in, week out. But if their attack has finally clicked, they're gonna.
Yeah, and we're gonna find out what the Bulldogs are made of as well, because they've got the Tigers this week. You think if they can take care of business there, after that's Warriors, Roosters, Storm, Panthers, Sharks to finish the season. Yeah. So a lot of big tests for Canterbury, and I think their fans will welcome that. I think their fans are getting a little bit annoyed about the soft draw chat, and rightfully so, because again, you can only beat what's in front of you. But yeah, they're gonna have a lot of big tests in the next few weeks, and I think that Canberra game against the Panthers in Mudgee, I think, is in the third last week of the season. That's another big game to watch. So plenty of tests for these competition, you know, a lot of these competition favorites to run into each other the next few weeks before we get to the finals, and then maybe we'll get a clearer picture at that point. But yeah, right now, as wide open as I can remember it being. All right, Grub, and now we're going to break down our play of the week, and this week it is the Penrith Panthers' Dylan Edwards try against the West Tigers on Saturday.
Yeah, so I just think this is a typical Penrith play, and it's not necessarily always a big play, but as you can just see there, if you just pause the play here, a typical Toto play of the ball creates havoc. But we speak about being back for play 2, play 3, especially as a half and as a spine. And you can see it's Jenkins here. He's a winger. He's not meant to be there. Then you got Blaze Talangi, Nathan Cleary, just sort of linking up. And that's the best thing about it. Plays in the picture. So you can play here. It's great skill coming out of yardage to go pass. And we just stop here. McLean makes a nice one-on-one sort of half break, but it's Nathan Cleary, and as we can see later on in the picture, it'll be Dylan Edwards coming in. Nathan Cleary back up the middle. Dylan Edwards doing what he does best, backing up the middle, and that's, you know, when you do video week in, week out, you watch plays, you watch what players are doing, you watch, do they go left, they go right. The cartwheel was great too, but that is stuff you can't set up for. It's just them getting back in shape early, not mattering where you're playing. Nathan Cleary's in the centers there, but he's just backing up on the inside. And as all good spine members do, they know where each other are. And Dylan Edwards is one of the best in the game. So for me, that play was a simple but effective play, and a play that shows Penrith are back, not thinking about big play moments, but just backing each other up with shape around the ball.
And then if the big plays happen, all the better.
And that's the thing. So week to week, we'll do these plays and we'll come up with some crafty stuff. But I just think that is a typical Penrith and the mindset they got at the moment.
And Edwards is basically almost next to Toto when he plays the ball, and he ends up very quickly on the other side of the field supporting to score the try as well. Just great effort.
That's a feel thing. Him being at the play the ball, knowing that it's going to go left, all the best support players in the, whoever played the game, some of the greats like Terry Lamb or whatnot, you just watch them. They're around the play of the ball, but they know the ball's going to eventually get back. And that's what, Edwards is known for, always in probably the number one for the Blues.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the Canberra Raiders. This is a team whose fan base are getting really excited. This is shaping up to be a very, very special season for them, but it's a little bit different for them because in a lot of Canberra's recent finals campaigns, they've been a really good team, but they've never been this sort of unstoppable juggernaut right at the top of the ladder. So I think back to your career, and I think back to two Bulldogs teams that made grand finals over the space of 2 years. That's the 2012 team and the 2020 and the 2014 team. In 2012, you guys were unbelievable, right? It was you and Melbourne the whole way, and you ended up playing them in the grand final. You won, I think, 10 of your last 11 or something crazy like that to come home, and you were really just steamrolling teams. 2014 was a little bit different. You ended up 7th on the ladder. You beat the Storm in that crazy game in week 1 of the finals and went on with it and had that charmed run all the way to the grand final. But I guess what I'm asking is, how different are the vibes around a team when you are sort of the top dog for the whole season, pardon the pun, or one of the chasing pack, which you were 2 years later? Yeah,
thanks for bringing up those grand final losses as well. Really appreciate that. But no, it was it is very different. Yeah. So it's I suppose in 2012 we got to a point where, as you just said, we won so many games in a row. You sort of get used to winning, and you just even if you're off, you feel you're still going to win games, and that's probably Canberra at the moment. You speak about 16-all, 18-all against teams that they should be putting away,
and there's this belief that they maybe didn't have in previous years about going on with the job that they just have this year.
And it's I don't know if you remember back to 2012, but this was when Des brought in playing for the forwards. Probably one of the first. We were probably one of the first teams to start. James Graham and using the Sam Cassianos and playing through the forwards. And yeah, it's weird for a half because our whole careers, we're thinking we get the ball first and whatever. But look, whatever was for the team, and it worked. I don't know. Teams couldn't defend our structure. They literally couldn't.
Yeah.
Teams were coming up with ridiculous reads, and so we had this sort of like confidence about us. We're like, no one can stop this. But then entered Craig Bellamy and a few possibly some of the best spine members that have ever played together, and you know what I mean. Like, and they in the grand final on the big stage pulled us apart. I think that this was when Benny Barber was hot,
wasn't he? Just
like hot, unstoppable. And I think it was it Cecil Wanga on the wing? I think he might have. He knocked the ball down 3 or so times because they're up and in defensive. But if it wasn't for that, we just you're in a groove.
Yeah.
You find
so you're feeling great. You were feeling 10 feet tall the whole season, basically, because of how well the team was going.
Yeah. And it was just, even our bad games, we just knew we were going to win, even if they were tight. I think there's a few tight games in that season, but then you go 2-14, not playing your best footy, but the 2-12 season helped. Like, we still had this, not swagger, but this confidence knowing, boys, if we finally get it together, because we had a very up and down roller coaster season, we could match it with the best. And I'm not sure if you remember that first semi-final. We go down to Melbourne and beat Melbourne.
Crazy.
And not beat Melbourne, we flogged
Destroyed
Melbourne.
them,
And, Timmy Laffey had spiders on him.
Tim Laffey, the game of his life. Unbelievable.
Spiders on him that game. But I suppose we had that confidence of 2012, knowing that, wow, we're building here. Yeah. We are absolutely building. And week in, week out, as the games got bigger, so did we. And you've got this. This is where it comes back to, and I know it's used a lot in NRL, but you got to trust the process. Yep. And we trusted Des. And, I think we're going to speak about Des later on. We trusted his process, and you have to do that because he instilled all this stuff and the belief in us in 2012. We didn't end up getting that one, but 2014, totally different season, but we knew in big games we could do it. So that's probably the difference, mate.
Yep.
In being flying, but then having that. So Penrith right now, they will have a 2014
That's
feel,
right.
Won't they?
Yeah.
Like, that's sort of, we got these boys. We know in a big game. Look what Nathan done in the grand final. So, yeah, two totally different sides, but at the moment, the Raiders, they are hot.
They really are. All right. So I want to try and ask you sort of a what's up question every week, which is sort of like what's the blankest blank that ever happened in your career. So this week is, what's the strangest pregame witch rule a teammate ever had? This could be at NRL level. This could be when you're a kid. Could be anything.
Yeah. So it's a bit of, I had to think about this. It's a bit of it's not like one. It's his whole build up.
Yep.
I think he's a big fan of the show, actually, James from Guymere.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's our first show, so I don't know how he's already a fan. But so I roomed with him for about 5 years.
Yep.
And just multiple little things like done weirdly. Like we're sitting in the room and for some reason he'd try and make me to always make his English breakfast teas.
Yep. Okay.
Multiple though. Like I'm not talking 1, 2. He's having probably 7 to 8 night before a game.
Is he having 7 or 8 separate cups or 7 or 8 tea bags in one cup?
He's going. I think
both are insane.
I
think
he's. I can't remember. Well, no, because in hotel rooms you get nothing. So
true. So you're reusing the same tea bag.
Yeah.
Surely by like the third one, it's just water.
Well, mind you, I'm not getting it for him, but he'd try. And then he'd always. He's a massive, and this is the one thing that he's rubbed off on me. It's soda water, but he would say soda water.
Yeah, right.
Soda water.
Yeah.
So he would have these big bottles of the 1.25 liter soda waters, and man, he's gulping them in 4 gulp. Takes me like that's taking me at least 20, 25 gulps.
You don't get gassy or anything?
He doesn't.
Well, mate, look again. We with the Coke Zero stories we got at Brighton Toll. I can't bet against this stuff at this point.
Well, this is the thing, and then another thing he'd do is bring in the ugliest pair of Umbro.
Yep.
Boots, Umbros. Like I'm just going to try and say it to him. And he'd have him in front of his locker, 4 different pairs of the exact same boot.
Yep.
And he'd pick one. And I'm like, what's the difference? I think the studs were different on 1 or 2 of them, which I get.
Yeah.
But why 4?
Why 4? It's not 4 different.
Never understood it, but we just left him.
So he was like Steve Smith, the cricket bat, basically.
Yeah. Don't talk to James. But pretty much don't deal with him on game day. And then obviously one that he got in a bit of strife for, and I'm sure you remember, is the Vaso.
Yeah.
what is Vaseline like on the back of the? Look, I get it. I get trying to make a
It sounds like a good idea in theory, but also just, very, very slippery.
Was it Nate Miles who grabbed it off the back of his thighs and rubbed it in his face?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Someone definitely did that.
So, I couldn't really, I didn't have any. Yep. I wasn't that guy.
No,
I just sort of went with the flow and whatever. But he was, look, mate, I loved him. He was a great leader on and off the field. But I also will say, James always had things ready for after the game. Yeah. So he was our captain.
Yeah.
Meant to be the one setting the example, but multiple times throughout our career, we go up to the room. Des would not really want us to go and have a beer, which is fair enough because we got spanked a few times. But James would have organised to get our jeans on straight away. I go to the lift in a hotel room, and he would have organised with the kitchen staff that we're going through the kitchen out the back door.
That's leadership.
That's leadership 101. That's why I followed him. But one of the weirdest, wackiest guys, but love him.
I love that he sent in a question later to sit you up, but you've got one on him early.
Straight, yeah. Well, this is what happens whenever, because we work together at the Bulldogs, and he always tries to get me on stage. And I knew when I read the script that James from Guy Me just was way too. I definitely knew who it was, so I thought I'd get him with a little left hook early.
And speaking of that, we do have a few listener questions. If you want to support, if you want to get one, go to patreon.com/NRL you can ask, grab a question for next week. So the first one is from, is Tino still out? That's his username. Can you describe what actually changes within a professional team environment when a coach has lost the dressing room? How does a coach's experience as Des lose a dressing room? I guess that's in reference to the shower stuff that we saw last week.
Wasn't that interesting? And I just want to, I've heard a few reports out of this. I do not think that the players have just gone and into the shower without being addressed first.
Yeah.
Some people have said they fully brushed Des and went, there's no way that's happened. No one would do that to Des.
Yeah.
You would be a brave man. you seen, who was you could sort of see, was it the owner in front of him? There was someone in the shed anyway, and she was sort of like, oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? Then Des, he builds momentum. What he does is, right, what Des does is he'll give you a spiel before a game, but then after that, if he doesn't feel he's got his point across or he thinks of something else, he has to tell you.
Yeah, okay.
So he'll bring you back, and that's what I think might have happened.
But not Des specifically, just how, because obviously coaches have lost dressing rooms in the past.
Yeah.
So what can you speak to about that?
Well, it's more just, I feel what's happened is players lose belief in the system, and they do. And I know the question was asked about Des. I don't understand how Des can lose a room because I've been coached by him and he's great.
Yes, but
it can be things like, I think coaches not being honest with selection.
Yeah,
that's one major thing where players come back and go, I just wish he was honest with me. Like I'm either in or out, and that's fine. I think they can lose the dressing room where the players just don't believe in what they're throwing out, and it's hard because they're going to drill into you every single day. But if the players are sort of like, it's just not working, I think that's another way they can sort of lose it. But yeah, it's. The environment at the Gold Coast Titans, I will say, I know we're going back to them, just isn't great.
No.
Because no one can fix it at the moment.
Well, the thing to me is like, you look at their roster and there's like a dozen guys I'd love to have at South. Like, would love to have. And it's just, it never makes sense to me how what I think are quite good rosters just doesn't translate to on-field success. And that's been a case through multiple coaching staffs now. So I don't really understand what the problem is up there. But
well, they've got to have a good look into everything.
Yeah.
Their juniors, their systems, their pathways. I've said this a couple of times. They need someone like a Gus Gould up there who oversees the coach, who lets the coach just coach and not worry about, they've got to fix from within. They've got to get some young guys coming through the ranks wanting to play for the Titans, like AJ Brinson's, and you need more of that because you look at clubs like the Bulldogs now, they've got guys coming through who are Bulldogs juniors wanting to play.
And obviously it's a lot easier for you to bring in a junior or two to a team that's winning than a team that's not.
That's a great point. 100%. Like it's them, being a part of that system, that environment, and then they feel like this is what I got to do to be a first grader. But it'd be interesting to see which way they go with that. But I feel we speak about the dressing room. I also think there's someone behind the scenes. There's been some leaked things out of. I hate, one of my pet hates is like leak things out of meetings.
Yeah,
like
sure.
There's nothing worse than coming out of a meeting and you see something that you all spoke about in there, saying, "Boys, like we're on," and someone's leaked it. that is a way that you can, bring some like doubt into a squad. But then
really
if you're
shows
leaking
the
stuff about
discontent, for sure.
it's not a good sign.
All right, from Shunter from Penrith. You have a reputation for being one of the great maximum effort players in the NRL. Did anyone ever take exception to you at training over how much you were competing?
Oh, not exception, but I my one of my old trainers, his name was Harry Harris, one of the greats. I actually took a lot from Harry. We got him really well. He always used to just think that I wasn't there to play footy. I was literally just there to be like a lure, like a rabbit, and everyone was just going to sort of chase me because obviously I'm not the biggest guy. I was playing back then. When I was back then, I was 60, 70 kilos wringing wet, but I could run. Yeah. That was my thing. But yeah, there was some like tussles at training, like not with me personally, but when you got guys like, like Mick Ennis that compete on every play, and this is the whole thing, and we've always trained hard at the Bulldogs. We always did, and it come out the last couple of years with Serraldo, and like that's just if you don't like training hard, it's probably not the place for you. So yeah, I feel like a lot of my my little bit of an edge, I suppose, I had was only because I trained like that. I didn't get in a lot of teams because of my raw talent. I was there, effort, and I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to win a lot of things at training, and that was just how I feel I could get into the zone and feel good about myself. So yeah, there was definitely some fiery moments there, but you see it all the time. It's just when guys competing for spots. There's guys competing for spots in every team. Sometimes when you go left on right and this and that, it can get a bit fiery. But I also think if you've got a strong connection, it's fine.
Yeah,
because it's just like we wipe it off, we go again, we get a bit better. So
and just leave it on the training pitch as long as it stays there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Ash from Canberra says Val and Drinkwater have similar kicking percentages this season, but it feels like Val is much more of a big moments kicker. How much does a team's goal kicker influence the team's mentality and performance when trying to win tight games? I mean, you played with some great kickers.
Well, I had the Iceman, Hocko. Trent Hodgkinson was I think he had one of the highest percentages when he was kicking. And I don't want to turn this into a Bulldog show because we're all in our role.
No, but if you're drawing on your experience, it's most of them are the Bulldogs.
But when you think of it, Darryl Halligan,
Haslam,
They've had some of the greats. But in the sense of on the field, and that it's a good point because it was spoken about this year in the Origin series.
Yep.
Lomax hits the ball one of the most sweetest out of anyone. But we obviously in the Origin arena. I'm not saying the pressure got to him, but big moments, it can, change a person's mindset and what the way they go into a kick. I actually stopped goal kicking. I was a goal kicker in Premier League, like just before I went in the thing. But I just thought I was thinking about it too much as I was playing, and it would take away from my game.
Well, DCE was another guy that didn't like kicking for years, and Darren Lockyer was one of the greatest players of all time. They didn't love doing it either, right? So there's a lot of guys like that. But, I mean, how much not just goal kicking but field goal kicking as well? Like, how much better did you feel in tight games knowing we've got Hodko, for example?
Oh, big time. Yeah. And you just knew if we're going to go into that golden point, shot for shot, he's the man. He was the GOAT at the time, and he constantly. I was just his little what would I be called? His little decoy.
Yeah.
I think I kicked one or two in my time with him, but he was just so cool, calm over the ball. No matter how much pressure he got, he always done it. But it is the goal kicking one is a big thing because in big games, tight games, taking the 2 points is huge, and going that even 6 ahead, it's such a big feeling instead of being 4 or 10. So. Yeah, it's and Val hits him sweet. He did all series, didn't he? And that's one thing where that once again those scoundrel Maroons.
I don't know why I just called out Drinkwater specifically, but that's all right.
Drinkwater hits him well. Don't the Cowboys go left side Drinkwater, right side someone else? I'm pretty sure they've done that this year. That's an interesting one.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the worst ploy.
Mate, if you've got two guys and the numbers support it, why not?
Well, because Drinky's a lefty, and he must hit him. He must hit him from the right, and then vice versa. I think it was Clifford when he was playing.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a big part of the game, though.
All right. And James from Gaimea says, have you ever walked away from a mechanic thinking it's free because it's in Belmore, only to be tracked down and made to pay?
Well, I know exactly what he's talking about.
I would hope that you do.
Yeah, look, The guy, I remember his name clearly. He used to, because he was Greek, he used to call me Reynolds.
Yep.
That was my
For sure.
Greek name. And look, I know that I've known those guys for a very, very long time, and I didn't think I was getting it for free. I didn't think it at all. But yeah, I was with James, and I walked out of there. Going to pay later, by the way. Right. And he comes storming out saying, "Hey, you need to pay," and it was in front of everyone. Yeah. And I was like, I thought we agreed that we're going to do it later.
Yeah.
But as James does, he adds a bit of GST to the story and likes to dampen my name.
So you weren't speeding off in the car?
I wasn't speeding off in the car. It was a bit embarrassing, though. My heart dropped because I actually did speak to his son who owns the mechanic. But, you know, the dad come out, and maybe there was a bit of miscommunication, but that is one thing I wouldn't like to be known as a tight ass.
No, you don't want. That's one of the worst things you can be called.
Is that actually for me? It's one of the worst.
I agree. No, I'm 100%.
I can't stand him. So, but yeah, look, I'll say he got me on a technicality. But that's all I'm giving him.
Okay, that's fair. All right, now, Josh, you've got your grub of the week. It's fair to say, Manly were going after Jamin Salmon on the weekend.
Like heavy. But I would also like to say to James Salmon that is a good sign, because they know that you're one of the good players that distributes our style of play, and he's been awesome for the Bulldogs. Hearing a lot of other guys talk about him, he's a leader in that team. But yeah, Matty Lodge, those two were going hard at each other
all afternoon. Lodge was flying around doing stuff, really trying to set the tone physically.
And look, anyway, whoever makes the grub of the week, this isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Because this is for me, it's like,
again, you spent the first 5 minutes of the show talking about how it's a badge of honor for you.
Exactly. So, but this one was a bit of a late one, a bit of whiplash, but he did come from outside in, and he put Big Salmon on his.
I think the crowd wanted a bin, and I do feel like with referees, sin bins can be contextual, right? Like if it's 30-4, which I think was the score when this happened with 8 minutes left, just bin him, you know.
Yeah.
No one's going to get up you for if it's 16-12, you might get in. You know, might be hot water later if you have to justify.
Just do it at that time. Yeah. But then as well, we also say that shouldn't matter.
But it does, though. We all know it does.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
it shouldn't.
We say it shouldn't. But then it's also like the ones where it depends on what happens to the player.
Correct. Like Jack Whiten, for example, I think is getting a heavier suspension because poor Toby was knocked out.
He's fighting that.
They are tonight.
Isn't he?
See what happens. Maybe we should just wait around here till 6 o'clock.
Nick Cabar.
Wait outside.
Used him multiple times. Good lawyer. You need a good lawyer if you're going to be.
It's kind of tragic for South as well. We've had literally the worst injury crisis in rugby league history this year. Jack's been like one of their 3 or 4 fit players the whole year, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll whack him with a 4-week ban."
Been bad, hasn't it?
Mate, it's been shocking.
Just week after week.
What can you do?
Can we say it? Can I?
Yeah, you can.
You going to get the spoon?
Maybe play the Titans. So that's suddenly
a
big game. We play them in 3 weeks or something. So
and then.
If you win that, you're fine, right? Because then you're 2 wins ahead of the Titans. But if you don't win that,
what is now?
Play Para as well.
Yeah, but Para.
I know. They play. I mean, man, it's so funny. Like they're a win ahead of the Titans, and they're level with Newcastle and Para and the Dragons. So
yeah, I'm a bit nervous for you. I'm not going to lie. I just think as even the more and more players, that go down like that, because you're like, where are we getting these guys from?
It's like Totola scores a try in the last minute of the game and does his shoulder doing it. Just like we are just cursed. Not great.
It's been like this for a few years though.
Yeah, 2023 was really bad, and then last year was bad as well. It's like this year's definitely reached like a critical mass, but like it was bad in 24 and 23 as well. I don't know what they can do.
But then we speak about this a lot though. Like the way we train and this and that. But a lot of South ones have been like freak ones, like not
Totola scoring a try and reaching out and doing his shoulder.
That's what I mean. But even you know, you can't call the Cody Walker stuff. He's just getting a bit old, and this is what happens. Your body unfortunately breaks down, and even the Latrell Hammy stuff. That's a hard one as well, because he's in and out. You want Latrell play? He's playing Origin, so tough one, mate. Tough to be a South fan.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's try and be positive. What's one thing we are looking forward to this weekend? For me, it is the Dolphins trying to consolidate a top 8 spot on Friday. And I've loved watching the Dolphins in recent weeks. They've put up some massive scores on some teams in recent times. They've played some really nice footy, and they play the Warriors over there in Auckland at 6:00 on Friday night. And I agree with you that the Warriors are sort of they might be trending down a little bit. They had that tough loss last week to the Titans, but them at home as well with that crowd. Still a tough out. The Dolphins don't travel great. They haven't won that many games outside of Queensland since they were incepted a couple of years ago. But this game to me has game of the round potential.
Dolphins get a few back. I think the GOAT, Mark Nichols, and Kafusi possibly. And I heard, I don't know if this is true time, but Nicarima is slightly off.
Mate, I just feel like Katoa's been remarkable, right? And he might win the Dally M, but I feel like he needs Nicarima there to unlock him to the full potential. Is that fair?
Two smart guys, two very smart halves that understand each other. And we say good combinations, but Katoa is one of the best at knowing why he's doing stuff. You ask him, you listen. I listen to him on it's amazing as he breaks down. But then also to be a really good 5'8", you got to know the next one who you get into and the follow-on effect. And I just feel those two guys really understand each other's style of play.
Yeah, for sure.
Two of the
they
best.
Complement each other so well.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm gonna go to. You know what my mates call this? The Josh Reynolds Cup.
I was about to call it the Josh Reynolds Cup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, can it be called the Lockie Galvin Cup now?
Could be. I think.
Can we go halves?
Yeah, I think the Galvin Reynolds Shield has a nice ring.
No, we need a cup.
All right,
a shield.
All right, the Galvin Reynolds Shield.
I haven't won a trophy my whole life. Give me one.
Oh, come on. 2014 Origin. That was a shield.
It's a shield, though.
Yeah,
I've got
true.
one.
All right, fine. I want a literal trophy. All right, fine.
Well, I just want to see what the Tigers have got for Lockie.
Would you like me to bring you a trophy next week, regardless of who wins?
Can we? Well, because we're going to bring some more props.
Yeah.
I'd love to bring it. Yeah,
I can get. There's a party shop next to my house. I can get one for you. I can get what blue and white on one side, orange black on the other. Yeah, all right, we can do that.
I love that. Engraved if you want, whatever. Yep. I want to see because I want to see the week how this pans out. I want to see if Tigers players come out and Jerome Luai and Taruva, who were having a bit of a crack at him,
were very strong
while he was there.
Yeah.
Well, now's your chance, boys. And I want to see the likes of Kick Out protect him and Credit protect him. I know they will be 100%. I've already heard a couple of them speak about it. It's probably not the thing that the Bulldogs are going to be worried about and shouldn't be, but for us on the outside, where it's juicy, it's like,
yeah, man,
it's like a movie.
I mean, like the Galvin story when he first changed clubs, that story was so big. It was like dominating the news cycle when Origin was happening.
Yeah.
And for an NRL level thing to supersede Origin is like almost unheard of. So that's how big this was. And yeah, I think there's already been a few stories today about the Tigers fans are going to boo Lockie Galvin. I mean, I don't blame them for doing that. Like, let's be real.
But who cares?
And it's sport.
I've booed my whole life.
Exactly. It's part of the pageantry of the whole thing.
Yeah,
right? And I think that at this point, with everything that's happened, that the Bulldogs will lean into that. They'll embrace that role of villain. And yeah, that game at Parramatta Stadium should be fantastic.
Well, interesting little full circle moment. Let's just say Jerome Luai is going after Galvin, and you've got Critter protecting him against him.
Yeah.
Two boys, like they'd be mates.
Love
Same
that.
with Kick Out. So either way, it's going to be an interesting one.
2:00 Sunday.
That's my one to look forward
an
to.
Absolute cracker. All right, and that'll do us for this week. I think first show in the books. I don't want to be biased, but I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, well, it's a debut.
Yeah,
maybe at times I was probably a bit shaky. You're the podcast guy, so you're our leader. You led from the front, and I'm just following.
Try my best. I'm no James Graham, but if you want to make me 7 cups of English breakfast,
can you do something weird before the show next week?
I'm more of an Earl Grey guy. I can have 6 or 7 of them before we come on. If you want.
So
I'll bring in 4 pairs of sneakers and put one on before we start recording.
So before we let in this week, we let in with how the comps open.
Yep.
Next week, I want you to just pump six Earl Greys in front of camera.
All right.
That's how we want to start.
All right. Say goodbye, Josh.
See you guys.
And it's goodbye from me.